Start. Yes?
Okay. Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Sierra Hanks from Atherton High School, and I'd like to discuss compassion with all of you. I've noticed a rather troubling modern movement to look down on compassion, to call compassionate people naive, or to resign the word to the bleeding hearts who we then toss away as idealistic. We're old enough. We've seen the atrocious things people do to each other. It seems so much safer to be a cynic. To believe in human compassion makes us feel like foolish children. It scares us. And how terrible that empathy is seen as childish, while cynicism seems the safer path. At times, I must admit, I too have hardened my heart in protection. But I still believe in a compassionate future for our world. And that future begins with all of us. We aren't foolish for caring. We're human. And compassion is part of being human. Buddhists and Jews attribute this to the singularity or oneness of our existence. Christians have a compassionate example in Jesus. Muslims learn through the fasting of Ramadan to empathize with the often constant hunger pangs of others. But beyond that, at the biological human level, we are compassionate. Scientists have found through the study of oxytocin in the brain that we're hardwired to be. In respect to context, there's a common misconception that since Buddhism accepts that in reality there is suffering and isolation aids in the reaching of enlightenment, that Buddhism doesn't promote interpersonal compassion. I've found this to be false. In traditional and modern Buddhist thought, the only thing higher than pursuing one's own enlightenment is helping another on their path to enlightenment. It can be simply said that shared suffering is lessened, while shared joy increased. And so, this is my challenge to you, my friends. Don't be ashamed of being compassionate. Strive to help others reach their full potential on your path to realizing your own. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Can I give you a hug?
Hmm?
Can I give you a hug?
Thank you. Correct. I think I prefer
There's another one.
talk by stand. I appreciate your comment. Excellent. It is very true. Sometimes people, firstly, the concept sort of warm-heartedness or compassion, forgiveness, you see, these things consider part of religious practice. So those people who have not much interest about religion, even you see those people who supposed to believe but not seriously implement what they believe, then you see these usually you see neglect about practice of these things. So these, of course, all religious tradition carry the practice of these things and also use philosophical sort of, backing. However, these things are actually, biologically, we need these things. Firstly, we're born from our mother. At the initial sort of few years, we can't stand it, or we can't sort of look after oneself. entirely depend on others' affection or others' sort of care. Even animals like that. So mentally, emotionally, we equipped by biological factor. This is some kind of cherishing way, or love, or affection. So that's our way, our life starts that way. I think here, you see those children who received, I think, the maximum affection from their mother. I think today, such people, deep inside, more sort of strength, more self-confidence, and ready to show affection to others. Then those people who receive less affection from our mother or from our friend, and sometimes neglect child, just give food, nothing. Such people who experience in early period that kind of thing, or worse thing, bully, abuse. Then these people, no matter how successful, in deep inside, some sense of insecurity, sense of fear. That automatically brings some kind of distrust to other people. Very difficult to find trusted friend. Finally, become lonely person, lonely way, in mental level, lonely. And then depression. Then their best sort of friend is alcohol or drug. Since nobody they can trust. So only perhaps, I think, some pets, dogs, or cats. And then the bottle of alcohol. And eventually ruined their own physical. Very clear. So therefore, we should not consider these values as something religious sort of values who have no interest about religion because of the neglect about these things is totally wrong. Then, another thing, practice compassion is good for practitioner himself or herself, but not necessarily, you see, helping other. That also great mistake. I think firstly, my own sort of story. My mother, farmer, illiterate, uneducated, poor sort of the mother of the farming sort of family. But very warm-hearted person. So when I was young, I was the youngest child. So I received, at that time, I received maximum sort of affection from my mother. Perhaps some of my elder brothers, sisters may have some jealousy, maybe. So in any way, so dear to me, my mother, very kind. And then myself also is very, very dear, my mother. So as is a villagers or children, child, no sort of toys or these things, of course, because I took that, video games, these things, not there. So, daytime, I carry by my mother on her shoulder, and when she sort of farming work in farm land, you see, she worked that way. She always carried me. So then, when go different places, and I hold, you see, my mother's 2 ear. I want to go this side, I do this. If I want to go this side, go like that. If my mother didn't listen my wish, then I shout, and then bang 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 re, my leg, kick on my mother like that. So I'm quite sure. Later, through training, the training about compassion, these things, I found very easy, because I feel the real seed of compassion cultivated by my mother. Clear. So these are biological facts. Clear. That's one thing. Then the practitioner, of course, as soon as sort of the inner sort of warm feeling here, mainly, sorry. You should say, God bless. Sometimes in the room, air conditioned, sometimes you see bad for a nose like that. So, of course, the practitioner himself, herself, you see, as soon as some kind of warm feeling of other and concern of others' well-being there, that automatically reduce the desire to harming other, or desire to exploit other, desire to cheating other, because you respect them. You actually voluntarily take concern of their well-being. As a result, your trust with respect automatically comes. So that brings inner strength, self-confidence, reduced fear. Such practitioner, no possible loneliness feeling, rest of community. I always telling 7 billion human beings are actually human brothers, sisters. I always telling people, I myself also practice oneness of humanity. So everywhere, new place, it's the first time meeting, but I feel, another human being. No differences. So with that kind of attitude, I myself used to get immense benefit. And then others also. See, obviously, others also human beings. If you show them sincere feeling, honest, open, they also, even I met a number of cases, some people initially a little bit reserved, remain a little bit distant. And I always see dealing these people as a human brothers, sisters. No formality, no sort of distance feeling. So within a few minutes, then their attitude also change. So result, they also become much happier. So that's the way to create happy community, happy family. So once individual seriously sort of carry these sort of positive value, then it automatically create different sort of friendly atmosphere within the family, within the community. So therefore, as a result of, because one individual practice it certainly, you see, eventually get benefit to others also. Then, it is true. There are some people who just think about money without thinking this inner value, without knowing the inner peace. Then, more aggressive, more tough person. Sometimes we feel, oh, very able person. Compassionate, consider weak. This is totally wrong. Actually, person who practice compassion, practice forgiveness, is actually much more inner strength. People who act aggressively and anger is a sign of weakness. When how anger develops? Feel some threat. You feel some anxiety, so the sense of yourself weak. So then it seems some threat. Then anger comes. And then aggressive sort of, violent sort of attitude comes. So that's totally sign of weakness. I think a true person, when we have some kind of argument, heated argument, the one person who has plenty of reason, usually less possible to develop anger. The other person who have not much sort of sound basis about his or her argument, then sometimes you see easier develop anger like that. So compassion is sign of strength. Anger is signs of weakness. Then here you see you have to make a distinction. Affection to the person. Now here we are talking is not compassion or affection on purely biological factor. That is seed of our compassion. But then use our intelligence, then further strengthening that compassion. Now here is the two differences. The first level of compassion, of affection, out of sort of biological factor, that's very much oriented about other sort of action, other appearances. When I look at you, in spite of my smile, or sort of a serious sort of attitude, if you still look like that, then you see the biological factor of compassion, then much depend on others' attitude, others' appearances. There are some difficulties. But the second level of compassion further developed with help of human intelligence. Then, if the other one looks a little sort of negative attitude, but won't change, you see, your compassionate attitude, because that trained compassion based on reason, that compassion not oriented others' attitude or appearances, but oriented the being himself or herself. So now, enemy, as far as the attitude is concerned, negative to you. But still, they are basically human beings. They also, like ourselves, want happy life. And they also have every right to overcome suffering, including overcome anger. Anger means some kind of suffering of emotion. So therefore, on that level, on human level, you see, even you, Kasota, your sort of compassionate feeling or sense of concern is even increasing towards enemy. You see, they also, you see, same human being, do not want suffering, but they become slave of anger. As a result, they not only harming other people, but also, you see, lose their own peace of mind. So we have sufficient reasons to feel concerned about them. So now here, two levels. Affection, mainly based on other attitude, or sense of concern, not on that, but being because of himself or herself, personal level. So now here, make distinction. Action and actor. Now, actor is concerned as a human brothers, sisters. You must give affection, compassion. Now, action is concerned if the circumstances is such it's necessary to take countermeasure, then take countermeasure out of sense of concern on their well-being, long run. So then appropriate sort of measure to stop their wrongdoing. Clear? So, and then the countermeasure take while your mind is very clear, no sort of calm, no sort of agitated mind, then your countermeasure may become more effective. Person who lost, person who take countermeasure, himself, herself also lost temper, lose temper. And then anger comes. The best part of our brain, which can judge right and wrong, that will not function properly because too much anger really biased our mind. So biased mind will not see objectively about the reality. So therefore, certain countermeasure take during your mind too much agitated, then this countermeasure, I think even government level, sometimes it happens. So such sort of measure, maybe it's a very good motivation, or very good sort of goal, but they, you see, when they take it, when they decide this such a policy, a little bit, I say, negative emotion. So often goes wrong. Unexpected negative consequences happen. Because at the moment the decision take, their mind a little bit biased. So you see, cannot see the things objectively. So therefore, even if it's a strong countermeasure, so try to bring court, or eventually some kind of that sentence I feel too extreme, but lifelong sort of prison sentence. I think if necessary, you see, we can approach it that way, but realistically, calmly. So countermeasure, without anger, more compassionate attitude, countermeasure may become more effective. And certainly, the appropriate countermeasure, with sense of genuine concern of their well-being, troublemakers' well-being, I think more people support you. Clear? I think honest lawyer definitely support that, isn't it? If lawyer himself or herself a little bit so different, then only money or political pressure, that's something different. So therefore, you see, now here, you see, you should not think compassionate person or compassion is signs of weakness. You should not think that. Then secondly, you see, you practice sort of compassion, then you you will be loser because more people take advantage. No. See, you look the situation. If someone take advantage on you unjustly, you can take because a firm stand without losing anger. Clear? That's actually the very sort of powerful practice of forgiveness. In spite of their wrongdoing, not lose anger, hatred. But according to the reality, if appropriate countermeasure necessary, take the countermeasure without losing compassion about that person. Clear? Like that, then control. Oh, so that's more or less answer for your sort of comment. Okay. Do you agree? So now some further questions.